Please be seated. I call our special town order for the fall of 2021 in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and join us if you wish. Mr. John Lumber, our new select person.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you, John Lumber. Good evening, fellow citizens of Southampton. Southampton's in the house. Thank you for coming and exercising your civic duty tonight. Welcome to our 2021 special town meeting. You used to see me in the back of a pickup truck out in an open field wearing a long-billed hat with sunglasses and a Hawaiian shirt, but we're back indoors. It's been nearly 2 years. I'm Robert Floyd, your town moderator. It's an honor and a privilege to serve you as your elected town moderator. For full transparency and disclosure, I also serve you by being Cemetery Commissioner for Southampton, Cemetery Superintendent of our 3 cemeteries, Southampton Historical Society Board member, and there are no compensations for any of these privileges. Our town meeting is a business meeting of Southampton, our legislative branch session called pursuant to a posted warrant, the official record of what will be discussed, and the only topics on which our special town meeting this evening may actually take action. I will read the warrant and deliver it to the clerk. Warrant for the special town meeting, December 14, 2021, to either of the constables of the town of Southampton and said county, greetings in the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the precincts of the town of Southampton, County of Hampshire, qualified to vote in elections and town affairs, to meet at the William E. Norris Elementary School, 34 Pomeroy Meadow Road, Southampton, Massachusetts, on Tuesday, December 14, 2021 at 7 p.m. and signed and duly noted November 29th. Thank you. May we keep a moment of silence now in keeping with our Southampton culture for those who have moved on ahead since we last met. And today is the 9th year anniversary of Sandy Hook. Could I have quiet in front of the tables, please? Thank you. Thank you. Our special town meeting is being transmitted live on public cable access channel 191 with Easthampton Media. We thank Tim Riley, Ryan Arnold, and Jeff Mastriani. Thank you. We remain in a pandemic. My plan A is to get us through this as quickly as possible, giving you every right to speak for as long as you wish in the 5-minute time period, but to be very efficient this evening. You, the voters' health need come first. If anyone is feeling sick, exhibiting any of the following symptoms: fevers, cough, shortness of breath, chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, or new loss of taste or smell, or have potentially been exposed to someone with confirmed or suspected COVID-19, you are encouraged to leave home and go home now. The executive branch of our town's government have worked hard to weigh in on the articles for our town warrant. Their work is done. Although some members sit up front by our tradition, they do not have more of a vote or say tonight than any of you in our special town meeting. My role as moderator is to administer rules, guidelines in an even-handed manner, fully, impartially, consistently. My authority is over an open process that you trust. Your responsibility as the legislative branch of our town government for our articles is over outcome. You have power to make laws, the power of the purse, and to exercise your freedom of speech. Anyone may challenge my process with a point of order yelled from your seat. I will invite you to the mic where you describe what pending action is frivolous, illegal, or contrary to proper procedure. Once a motion is read and I have asked and received a second, then I invite a pro and then a con statement. Discussions must be relevant to a motion, merits or lack thereof. Speak your heart and mind, not read what others have written. This ties the moderator's hands to maintain an open, balanced town meeting that is fair to all. It's when after a comment is ruled out of order or scope and the speaker continues to debate the moderator, the speaker is directed to sit down. Ready to contribute something new? Approach the mic, stand in line to be recognized in turn. I recognize speakers only standing at the mic unless it's a point of order. Each time someone speaks, the mic will be sanitized. Give it the amount of time necessary, and then take your turn. And we thank Carl Keener for volunteering to clean the mics for us. Please direct your opinions, questions, answers, and address all remarks to your town moderator. Do not speak directly to other voters to prevent lecturing, bullying, intimidation, and cross-examinations. Speak up to 5 minutes each time, no more than 2 times on any article, except to correct an error, answer a question. Rude behavior, shouting, bullying, lecturing, personal attacks will not be tolerated. Anyone unwilling to comply with these rules will be removed after the 3rd warning. So let this be our first warning for all. Those seated up front remain seated and use their table's microphone to answer your questions and make motions. Listen courteously, vote exactly as you think right. Thank you for your patience and respecting everyone this morning. We need permission for Pioneer Valley Planning members Eric Weiss and Shannon Walsh to speak and address you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? They will speak. May I hear a motion for Article 1, please? Yep. There's more room up front, as there is for any play or theater. There's a few seats up here, so don't squeeze back up there. Motion for Article 1, please.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer 2 previous fiscal year bills totaling $646 to the prior year bills account for unpaid bills from previous fiscal year. $583 for the Raw Materials Recovery Corporation for an invoice received late for FY21, and $63 for the Southampton Water Department for an invoice which was not paid during the fiscal year. Said sums to be taken from the fiscal 22 Transfer Station Enterprise Fund operating expenses for the Raw Materials Recovery Corporation, $583 amount, and FY22 Cemetery Commission expenses for the Southampton Water Department, $63.
That's good.
Or
Thank
take
you.
any action.
Any action is an important part of this. Who would like to speak on this motion, please? Motion made and seconded. Thank you. Who would like to speak on this?
Mr. Moderator, these are 2 invoices for fiscal year 21 that were received or came in for processing late. One is for Raw Materials Recovery Corporation, which belongs to the transfer station. That was received well after the end of the fiscal year. And the other is for the Southampton Water Department in the amount of $63, which was for the Cemetery Commission, which just got misplaced and was not processed in time.
Thank you. Anyone would like to speak against this motion, this article? Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion for Article 1, please say it's a 9/10 majority requirement. Please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously, meeting our 9/10 majority requirement. May I hear a motion for Article 2, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer an amount totaling $35,650 within their operating budget accounts as listed. $15,000 from the police wage account to the police overtime account for unexpected staff shortages, and $13,000 from the police wage account to the police expense account for unexpected costs incurred, and $3,000 from the communication expense account to the police building expense account for building expenses incurred, and $4,650 from the regional lockup expense account to the police equipment maintenance account for software equipment maintenance, said sums to come from the FY 2022 accounts listed.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this? And by the way, we're going to go through every article this evening, Plan A in order, no changing orders. Thank you.
Good evening. Ian Illingsworth, Police Chief. I just want to reiterate that this is all within the my department's budget currently. It's just transfers. The first item, I just want to express how crucial this is. We are currently about 70% expended due to unexpected.
A little closer.
We are currently about 70% expended in the overtime due to shortages in staff based on family medical leave, military deployments, as well as illness as well. The second line for the police account expense is from $13,000. The reasons for that is fuel has increased significantly, unexpected cruiser maintenance, as well as personnel and training equipment, unexpected costs. The $3,000 from the communications expense account, that's for the police department's emergency generator maintenance. That was not, I did not have that in the budget this year because of budget shortfalls. So I want to make sure that I did pay for that because it's so necessary, but as a result, I have less funds in that account. Trash removal, also within the police department, there's 11 light fixtures that need to be replaced. Item number 4, the regional lockup. That is for those speed signs that you may see within the town. Those pay for the annual, this is to pay for the annual subscriptions used to, for traffic complaint mitigation planning, as well as for planning subscription plans for message programming on the boards for emergencies and events. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone would like to speak against this article? Any questions? Any comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. If you wish to speak, come right up to the mic. State your name and your address.
My name is Mara Lamb. I live on 173 Pomeroy Meadow Road. I am going to vote yes for these expenditures, but I would like us to figure out what we're going to do next year, because the gas prices are going to continue to go up and all of the stuff like that I don't think is going to go down. So will we just keep passing along this kind of?
I have your answer. That information is beyond the scope of this article, and we can only speak under the umbrella of the scope of a particular article. So that needs to be addressed perhaps in town hall, but not today and not on this article. We're only talking about what's presented, not the future.
Okay.
Thank you. That answer your question? Any comments, any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 2. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 3, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer a total of $9,897 from the retirement contributory account and transfer $6,726 to the library wage account, $1,591 to the library maintenance account, and $1,580 to the library utilities account.
Motion made and second. Second. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. Would someone like to speak on this, please?
Barbara Golden, I'm the director of the library. This is the exact amount we need to get our accreditation from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. Due to a budget cut, we were left with this amount as a loss, so it would bring us accreditation. We could reopen to our hours previously.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak against this motion? Any comments, any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 3. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 3 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 4, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $9,878.40 from the town accountant wage account to the accounting expense account for the cost of a vendor who served as a temporary town accountant until the permanent town accountant was hired.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Ed Gibson, Town Administrator. Mr. Moderator, the $9,878.40 was used when we were not able to hire a permanent town accountant as an employee for a period of time. We utilized a staffing agency to fill that position in the interim, and as a temporary town accountant, and as a vendor, it had to be paid from the accountant expense account rather than the wage account. So this basically trues up those two accounts and is housekeeping.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to speak against this motion? Any comments, any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 4. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 4 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 5, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $1,560 from the assistant accountant wage account to the accounting expense account for the cost of a vendor to help compile and submit the FY 2022 tax recap forms.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this motion?
Ed Gibson, Town Administrator. Mr. Moderator, this amount of money was used to actually pay a vendor to come in and submit, complete and submit our Department of Local Services forms so the town could submit and set our fiscal year 22 tax rate. The individual has done that. And our tax rate has been approved, but as being a vendor rather than employee, monies or funds needed to be moved from the wage account to the expense account.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to speak against this motion? Any comments, any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 5. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 5 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 6, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $105 from the Select Board expense account to the employment advertising account for advertising incurred due to staffing shortages.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Ed Gibson, Town Administrator. Mr. Moderator, while the town was seeking a permanent town accountant as an employee, we advertised on several different services. This account was overspended in that advertising by $105. So this will transfer funds from the Select Board expense account back into the advertising account. So it is now in balance.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition to this motion? Seeing none, any questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 6. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 6 passes unanimously. Give me 30 seconds. That wasn't the seventh inning stretch. Have a motion for Article 7, please.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $1,500 from the Technology Services expense account to the web page maintenance account for updates to the town website.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Ed Gibson, Town Administrator. Up until probably about a year and a half, the town actually had a volunteer doing the website updates. Since that point, the person gave that volunteering up, so we've had to use a vendor to do that. And as we utilize our web pages to get more and more information out to the public, that's somewhat, as we did not have a historical references to what those services may cost. The current web page maintenance expense account is about depleted, and this transfer will fund that through the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in opposition for this motion? Any comments? Any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 7. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 7 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 8, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer a total of $5,700 from the retirement contributory account to the town clerk equipment account to purchase one voting machine for the additional new voting precinct required in town.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Who would like to speak on this, please? All right.
Lucy Dalton, Town Clerk.
A little closer.
Lucy Dalton, Town Clerk.
Closer.
I can't go any closer or shorter or taller. The $5,700, is that good? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
$5,700 is for a second voting machine. It's the tabulator. We need it because we are getting a second precinct, which is going to be in the town hall. We were awarded $9,700 at the annual town meeting for a new voting machine that will be for precinct 1. This one will be for precinct number 2.
Would you quickly, briefly share what the deal is with 2 precincts for Southampton? A lot of people don't know that it's mandated by the state.
It is mandated by the state. We are still waiting on information. We have a map that I put in the Gazette and the reminder, and we are waiting to hear from the state about the 2 precincts, which parts of the town will be in each precinct. As soon as that is forwarded to us, we will send that information along with the census forms that will be going out at the beginning of January. But we will be needing a second voting machine. It is by law that we need a second voting machine. Both of the precincts will be in the town hall. One will be in the senior center, and one will be in the select board room.
Oh, enthusiastic
Yeah.
crowd. That's what we love. Very quickly, as I recall, that from the Easthampton line, College Highway Route 10 is the dividing line all the way down to Brickyard. Taking a ride on Brickyard, everything to the right is precinct number 1. Everything to the left is precinct number 2. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but we are waiting for that final from the state. That's why I have not forwarded that information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone want to speak in opposition of this motion? Any comments, any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 8. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 8 passes unanimously. May I hear the motion for Article 9, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer a total of $8,000 from the operating stabilization account to the tree warden expense account for additional tree removal during fiscal 2022.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to address this, please?
I don't see our tree warden here, so Ed Gibson, Town Administrator. Over the last few years, as our residents know, we've seen more and more storms come through, which requires both trimming and removal of older, diseased, dead trees. Currently, the tree warden expense account as of now is now depleted, so this $8,000 would fund that account for any needed tree removal in case of an emergency between now and the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in opposition for this motion? Any comments, any questions? We're going to vote. This needs a 2/3 majority. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously, thus meeting our 2/3 majority. May I hear a motion for Article 10, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer, appropriate an amount totaling $69,766.61 from ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation and transfer $68,065 to the debt ambulance principal account and $1,701.61 to the debt ambulance interest account for the FY22 debt payment on the newest ambulance.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to address this?
Yeah, John Workman, Southampton Fire Chief. This is an ongoing payment that we make every year for our ambulance that we currently have in service, our new ambulance. So I'm in favor of this motion. We've collected $95,000 in receipts for this year and are projected to collect another $100,000. So this comes from that account and doesn't come out of general fund.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to this motion? Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion under Article 10, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 10 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 11, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer a total of $30,000 from the operating stabilization account to the town accountant expense account to engage a vendor to help close the fiscal 2021 financial records of the town.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to address this, please?
Was the amount correct?
It,
The paper says 35.
the motions are made maybe a week or two ahead of time, and sometimes the numbers change, and that's reflected in the motion on the floor initially, rather than sticking with the old motion and then having an amendment and then voting on the amendment and then going back to the motion. So I didn't announce that. Thank you. Good call. Good catch. Where are we? We have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to address this? Ed? You're up. You know the way. Been there, done that.
I think I'm wearing out the tile.
We'll take care of that after the meeting.
This would transfer $30,000 from the operating stabilization account to the town accountant expense account. This would allow us to utilize a vendor to come in and finish up and close our books for fiscal year 21, finish off some transfers, and finish off some forms that we still have to fill out for the Department of Revenue.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of this motion? Any comments? 30. And I explain why. Any comments, any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 12. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion for Article 12 passes unanimously. May I hear the motion?
Article 11. Motion for Article 11.
Article 11, my bad. The motion for Article 11 passes unanimously. I wrote the 30,000 down, and I thought it was unanimous from the previous one, so we're good. Okay, motion for Article 12, please. Teamwork.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town take no action on Article 12.
Why?
At the moment, we do not have certified cash available to account for this. This will come up later on. We
Okay.
don't have the cash to do this now.
Motion accepted. Do I hear a second? We're passing over. We're taking no action.
Mr.
Taking no
Moderator?
action.
Just like to make one clarification on that. We don't have retained earnings certified for this. It's not it is not coming from either the general fund or free cash. Thank you.
So the motion is made to take no action. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion to take no action for Article 12 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 13, please? It's all teamwork.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $20,000 from the ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation to the EMS wage account for staffing of ambulance shifts or take any other action relative thereto.
And that is less than what is written in your handout. I have motion made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to address this? You're getting right in there. I think that worked.
I'd like to amend that motion to include $25,000. We have $95,000 in ambulance receipts as to this moment. We're projected to get another $100,000 in receipts. I do want to be fiscally responsible with the money that we have.
Okay, your amendment, we'll talk about, you want to make an amendment to go from 20 to 25?
Correct.
Want to increase it by 5,000? Yeah. Huh? It was announced at 20 and accepted, and now we're amending it to go up to 25. So this is an amendment. Do I hear a second? Second. Okay, we have an amendment. It's seconded. What we're going to discuss is the rationale, the reasoning to go from 20 to 25. That's going to be the amendment. Pass or fail, then we go back to the original motion or amended a motion, and we talk about that and vote on that. So right now, we're only focusing on the delta increase of 5,000. So you want to share your feelings?
Yes. So this $25,000 is in the account in ambulance receipts at the moment. We are projected to get another $100,000 into that account as we have each year previous. We generally collect about $200,000 a year. Being fiscally responsible, if we take out the money that we'd already allocated for the payment for the ambulance, it only leaves just over $25,000 in that account. And so it seems appropriate to set the amount at $25,000 so that we know we have the money there that we're spending on this article.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition to the amendment? Seeing none, we're going to vote on the amendment. The amendment is taking the 20,000 figure and changing it to 25, increasing it by 5,000. All in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The amendment passes unanimously. Our motion now is $25,000 figure, if you'd like to address that.
The fire department has a history of doing its best with the tools we have, but after the fiscal year started in July, we'd suffered a cumulative loss of 7 EMTs and paramedics for a variety of reasons: new jobs, military leave, injured off duty, and other unforeseen general life changes. Many of these folks had served and covered many shifts for us, which when they left, it gave us big holes in coverage that we then scrambled to fill. As we went out to hire new folks, it became apparent that we were not offering anywhere near a competitive rate. And retaining people and recruiting people is a problem that we need to address. The department is really only one full-time member, which is myself. Everyone else is per diem, paramedics, and firefighters. The industry as a whole has dramatically low levels of new applicants and available new hires. It is also apparent that our wage structure is significantly below every department in the area that offers paramedic ambulance service. We did a wage study. We reached out to Easthampton, Northampton, Westfield, AMR, Granby, Southwark, everyone in the contiguous area to really get their contracts, talk with the chiefs, and get some idea of where they're starting medics and EMTs. We found that the range started at about $24.35 up to about $27.35. Southampton currently pays a starting paramedic at $20.29. So trying to get new paramedics on board at such a low rate is near impossible, and we want to continue to offer the quality service that we now provide. So asking support tonight for this fair wages for our EMTs and paramedics. We need to retain the good people we have and have the resources and we need the resources to recruit new people to fill gaps. Our goal is and always has been working to deliver the highest quality of pre-hospital care to Southampton 24/7, 365.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Any comments, questions? Come right up to the mic.
Margaret Larson, 9 David Street. So given what the chief has told us, and given that there is funding available via the ambulance receipts, I'd like to understand why the Finance Committee did not recommend this.
Okay. Somebody from the Finance Committee, would you step up to the mic? You can answer the question right where you are. You're good.
Donna Whiteley,
closer,
Finance
Donna.
Committee. There was only two of us at the meeting, and when we discussed this, and I believe, John, you were there that night. I believe the reasoning was that we just wanted more information, and there are so many departments that feel they're not receiving an adequate wage at this time also, that we didn't want to lower morale in any way to the rest of the town.
Thank you. John?
Just to clarify as the finance liaison, they considered the original 30,000 and had already approved the ambulance debt service at 69. Collectively, that was 99,000, which was greater than what was available as of the October report of revenue that they saw. So the cumulative that they were asked to consider exceeded what had been collected for receipts. I believe getting to the 95 includes the verbal communication today from our town treasurer that an additional $11,000 was delivered into our bank account today.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. The motion for Article 13, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 13 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 14, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town appropriate the sum of $294,000 to purchase a single new axle dump truck with plow and sander body for the Highway Department, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the Select Board, is authorized to borrow the sum of $294,000 under GLC 44, Section 7(1), or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds and notes therefore, provided and in accordance with GLC 44, Section 20, any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes thereunder, less any premium applied to the payment of the costs of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to pay project costs, and the amount authorized to be borrowed for such project shall be reduced by the amount of any such premium so applied that may be necessary for that purpose.
Motion, wow. Get close to the mic. Motion made, wow. Motion made, do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded, who would like to address this?
Randall Kemp, Highway Superintendent. So this article may look familiar to some of you. This was approved at the last town meeting, however, it failed at the ballot box. This is for replacement of a 22-year-old 1999 International 2574 4x2 CDL plow truck with sander body and wing plow. I know everybody wants to get out of here, but I'm going to give you a short story. We had a 1-inch snowstorm the other night. It should have been a very simple sanding event. And we had 2 trucks go down within the first half hour with mechanical problems. One went down the very next day when we went out to retreat. So a very simple event ended up costing us more in overtime than it should have. These are your trucks, and I hope that you approve replacement of them so that we can keep the road safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wishes to speak in opposition? Any comments, questions? This is bonding, and our bylaw requires paper ballots. So the town clerk's helpers will take the 4 boxes and work the audience accordingly. You will take your paper that was passed out to you. Quick, where's mine? Demonstrate it. Here it is, yes and no. Rip it in half and vote accordingly with either yes or no, and keep the other stub in your pocket if they're not going to collect it. And take it home and use it as a bookmark. I often do. Actually, I don't vote, so I have both of them as a bookmark. Good. Oh, good. Good. That's good to know. Thank you. This is the first time we've had multiple boxes. Generally, we take a box and everybody grabs it and passes it to the person next to them. But because of the COVID pandemic, we decided that wasn't too cool. So once everyone's dropped their paper ballot in, they will then take them back and count them, and we will proceed and continue. Oh, we need a box up front, please. Counters. Thank you. And anybody else who hasn't popped their little paper ballot in, raise your hand. Other towns make everybody stand up in line and go up to one box and put it in, which would take forever. So the town clerk, Lucy Doran, thought of this system, and it's working beautifully. Anybody else? We're all done voting? Good. We will then go on to Article 15. We will not wait until the count's done. Who would like to read the motion? Bob Kozup, CPC, for Article 15. This is our custom to have CPC members read the CPC motions.
Mr. Moderator, move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $20,000 from the Community Preservation Funds to the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission New Haven Northampton Canal Project for Southampton's share of identifying and recording the path of the New Haven Northampton Canal. Said funds to be transferred from Community Preservation Surcharges Historical Preservation Account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to address this?
I will address this. The guest from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, out of abundance of caution, not wanting to crowd our meeting, decided not to be here.
Okay.
This is the Southampton share of a multi-community project, namely Southampton, Southwick, Russell, Easthampton, Westfield, and Northampton. This project has been going on for almost 2 years now to identify and map the circa 1830 historic New Haven Northampton Canal, and to put it into consideration for state and national historical registers. This project has been going on for almost 2 years. The cost of hiring a consultant will be equally shared, regardless of the size of the towns, in the 6 communities.
Thank you. Anyone wishes to speak in opposition of this motion? Any comments? Any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion for Article 15, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 15 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 16, please?
Again, representing the CPC, Mr. Moderator, move that the town will vote to transfer the sum of $270,000 from Community Preservation Funds to the Greenway Committee. Said funds to be transferred from Community Preservation Surcharges undesignated account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to address this?
Thanks, Carl. Ed Gibson, Town Administrator. Mr. Moderator, the residents and actually the voters may actually remember back to the annual town meeting in June, a similar article, only it was for this same amount of money, but it was as a debt exclusion, so it was actually going to be funded as an additional tax to our taxpayers. At that time, the town could not use community preservation funds for this type of acquisition. When the state approved its fiscal year 22 budget, approximately a month after our annual town meeting, one of the pieces that was added to the budget was that this type of acquisition was eligible to be used and paid for from community preservation funds. I approached our select board and told them of the change and asked them if I could ask the Community Preservation Committee if they'd be willing to fund this. With the theory being, if we could do this through community preservation, it would be done through funds that are not additional taxes to our residents and businesses. Both boards and committees were acceptable to that to bring it forward to the town. So if this special town meeting actually votes in favor of this, it would give us the $270,000 required for the acquisition and another $100,000 for design of the Greenway bike and pedestrian path. If it passes at the annual town meeting in May, we will put in an article to rescind that debt exclusion vote, and so that this will end up not being an additional tax to our taxpayers, but will be funded through community preservation funds.
Thank you. Anyone who want to speak in opposition to this motion? Any questions? Any comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 16. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 16 passes by majority. May I hear a motion for Article 16, please? 17, please.
Again, representing CPC. Bear with me, this is a long one. Move that the town will vote to A, transfer the care, custody, and control of Conant Park, described in a deed recorded with the Hampshire Registry of Deeds in Book 1296, page 37, from the Select Board to the Park Commission for recreation, park, and playground purposes under the provision of General Law, Chapter 45, Section 3, in perpetuity. B, appropriate the sum of $192,500 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund account for the cost of installing a walking pad and splash pad and any cost incidental or related thereto, provided, however, that no funds shall be expended until the town has received a grant commitment in the amount of $100,000. That is correct, $100,000, not $106,000, under the Park, P-A-R-C, grant program 301 CMR 5.00, a reimbursement grant, which funds shall be returned to the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund. And C, authorize the Select Board, the Park Commission, the Town Administrator, or their designee to apply for and accept on behalf of the town funds granted under the Park, P-A-R-C, grant program, and or any other funds, gifts, grants under any federal and or other state program in any way connected with the scope of this article, and enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments as may be necessary or convenient to effectuate the foregoing project, including the conveyance of a perpetual conservation restriction in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 184, as required by Section 12A of Chapter 44B, as may be necessary on behalf of the town of Southampton.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Hello, Mr. Moderator. Daniel LaValle, 17 Glendale Road, Parks Commission member. I would like to speak in favor of Article 17, CPC funding for an accessible walking path and splash pad to support the park grant the town has received. Firstly, what leads the Parks Commission to pursue a walking path and splash pad?
Get a little closer.
Okay.
You're going to need to be louder for the back.
The walking path, the walking path may be more obvious for anyone who has been around Conant Park, that for the handicapped and for those who are mobility impaired, it can be a challenge for them to get around. This will help with that. It is part of a larger phased approach to make all areas of the park handicap accessible. The splash pad was the result of making of two things. One, the survey of the towns in the open space and recreation plan listed splash pads as the number one thing that people go to other towns to enjoy. Secondly, the park grant from the state gives higher scoring to those applications that include cooling stations such as splash pads as part of their proposal. I would like to explain some of the logistics of the grant. The first 6 months of the funding are all the planning phase. This planning phase ensures that all areas of the project are feasible before jumping into the work. The second phase, if we can find a suitable solution, is the implementation phase. During the planning phase, we would determine the exact placement of the walking path between College Highway and the Conant Park East Street parking lot, and what material would be used, probably compacted stone dust. Also, the type, details, feasibility, and placement of the splash pad would be determined. The design of the splash pad will focus on meeting the needs as a cooling station while optimizing water utilization. It is important to remind our town residents that part of the Parks grant is basically giving us this item at a discount. And also to remind residents that the remaining funds come from the community preservation funding, which can only be used for open space protection, historic preservation, affordable housing, and recreation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Who would like to speak in opposition to this motion?
Bob Kozub, 181 College Highway, speaking as a member of the community. Mr. Moderator, I have personally, and I have spoken to many people about this, and a lot of people have concern over the project the way it is presented to us. Concern specifically about installing a splash pad includes safety and sanitation has not been satisfactorily answered. We, for the past 3, 4, or 5 summers, have experienced water restrictions that has not been addressed. I question whether an attendant would be necessary eventually for this project, particularly when it comes to having it on at night and the possibility of vandalism. Another concern of mine is that the pavilion as it exists now with the open space there, which is being used up with various objects, is used probably 8 or 9 times a year with capacities of 2, sometimes 300 people for 6 or 7 concerts per year, for Lions picnics, for Lions community picnics, and for Celebrate Southampton. I feel that this kind of a project, if it is located at that particular area, and I understand it is not a given, will infringe on those activities which are available to a great number of people in the community, more so than perhaps any other park activity, with the exception of the sports activities. I think all of these things need to be considered.
Thank you. We're going to clean the mic first. Sammy, you were in the aisle first. We're going to have you come. We like to have everyone speak who hasn't spoken before, so you're up next.
Tammy Walunas, 298 College Highway. I agree with what Bob said, but my other question is, well, I agree with his part of the restricted water, when we can't water our own lawns or water certain times of the day. How is that going to be run? But my main question is, this is going to be open right at the pavilion. How are they preventing people from having parties there and not paying for the pavilion? That is how the Park Commission makes their money, is by paying for the rental of that pavilion. Now there's going to be a park there that anybody can show up, and they're going to have their own parties there, and the town is going to lose money. How is that being affected? How is that being controlled?
Thank you. Somebody may want to address that question, but we'll take your speaker now.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Dylan Maudsley, 154 Fulmer Road. I rise today in support of the motion for the CPC funds. I think first, this is a current tangible improvement to continue to expand the multi-generational use of Conant Park. Pickleball courts have been installed. We have tennis courts, basketball courts, sports fields. The walking path will allow continued access for those with disabilities, as well as connecting East Street to the Edwards Library, effectively bringing the Edwards Library from a side street and connecting it directly to our beautiful historic downtown. Additionally, other communities have a lot of splash pads like that. That's like the number one reason, as Dan pointed out, that people are going to these other communities. Easthampton has a splash pad. Westfield has a brand new splash pad. I believe Amherst and Agawam in the past year have installed splash pads. South Hadley has one, and Look Park in Northampton just redid theirs. None of those are attended. They have been running for decades without issue, without attendance present. There has not really been an issue in any of those parks with these splash pads running and working. And I think the question about the water use is an interesting one too, because these are not fountains that are running 24/7 or at night. They're on timers. These timers are controlled from a locked building, so they cannot be turned on at night. They cannot be accessed and used outside of the operating hours and the operating windows. Additionally, they're not running when people aren't there. They are only running when a child comes, turns it on to use it. And I think this is also a key to the further rejuvenation of Conan Park. There is some dilapidated playground equipment there. That is another need that needs to be addressed. I've gone to multiple Parks Commission meetings to help address it, and my understanding is that it's being worked on. I think this is a chance to really build and beautify the centerpiece of our historic downtown. Additionally, I think it's a great opportunity to develop more revenue for the town. Conan Park Pavilion is underutilized. If you look at all the surrounding communities, including with Easthampton and Northampton in particular, with Look Park and Nashawanek Park, both those parks have pavilions directly adjacent to the splash pads, and those pavilions are regularly booked for additional parties. Birthday parties will increase there. So in a lot of ways, and I don't think this will be a detractor from revenue, but in fact a builder of revenue using that pavilion. As far as unauthorized use would go, I think that would go the same as it would be any time. There has to be enforcement of the rules in place. Simply saying it's going to be used more against bookings, I don't think is really a apples to apple comparison here. Additionally, I think this is a benefit to our town because it doesn't actually incur any additional tax debt to the town. This is all money that's currently appropriated for this specific use. And additionally, we're getting $100,000 free from the state to develop it. Over 50% of the cost of this project is covered. And on top of that, it will, one last point, Mr. Moderator, I promise, will help businesses in town by keeping people in town and bringing some people from out of town to frequent our businesses in town, increasing their revenue as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Save your applause for your votes.
Hi, Dennis Radford, 62 Line Street. I'm here to discuss to state that an opposition to this project, specifically the splash pad. I've yet to hear what our annual operating costs are going to be and whether they can be paid by the same funding source or if that's something else we're going to have to look at and take from our very minimal, very tight town budget that we already have. So that's my first opposition to it. You know, we say that other towns have it. I think that Southampton and our population is very different from the folks in Westfield. And a lot of the poorer communities where folks don't have swimming pools in their own backyards, these things are used. If you look at Westfield, Holyoke, Springfield. If you look at other communities that are a little more wealthy, where people have opportunities to use their own swimming pools, they're not used that much. I know that I haven't seen the one used in Easthampton very often. The kids are more in the pool. And I'm wondering if we've really done a survey to see what the usage is in other towns before we go out and expend money. Yes, I think the park needs a lot of improvements. I'm just not sure the splash pad is the way to do it, especially not knowing what annual costs will be and where that money will come from.
Thank you. Next.
Janet Kane, 83 Glendale Road. I'm the chair of the Council on Aging Board, and I'd just like to speak for the seniors in town. We have a very active walking group. This accessible pathway from East Street, College Highway, would be a tremendous asset to that walking group. Right now, they walk down Clark Street without a sidewalk. They walk down East Street without a sidewalk. So it would just be a huge asset to people that are in their 60s and above, and give them a safe place to exercise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Caitlin Rooks, 189 College Highway. I'm speaking as a member of the community. I'd like to advocate for the splash pad and the walking path. In fact, I helped to work on the grant for this project. The state has advocated for towns to address climate resiliency with an increasing number of days over 90 degrees. So, and Southampton doesn't have a cooling pad or any sort of community pool, so this would help to address that. They do not need attendance regularly. We hope that popularity of an aquatic feature would draw more visitors to the park, which could foster more revenue. I agree that the pavilion is underutilized. Convenience would allow for people to walk from the town center, also from Norris School, to use Conant Park. And in fact, I live walking distance from Conant Park, and I don't go there because the playground equipment is unsafe and there's not a lot of amenities there for young children. I have a 4-year-old. I've heard a lot of concerns about water utilization, and this is something that will be addressed through the design phase of this project. We have reached out to local vendors who state that they can provide us with a low-flow design for this splash pad, and I agree that it will only be utilized or running when there's people that are pushing buttons to activate the splash pads. They're also safe, age, and ability friendly. They don't require security. The interactive sensory play with jumping, running, and dodging promotes development of gross motor skills and social skills and promotes familial togetherness. I'd also like to advocate for the walking path because 20% of Southampton's population is age 65 and over, and several senior groups walk in the area around the park. We also have, through the open space and recreation plan, 85% of people said that they walk in town. I'd just like to relate this to several of the goals outlined in the open space and recreation plan, one being to provide adequate recreation facilities to serve a variety of needs for all residents of Southampton, to improve sidewalk and pedestrian options in town for the 85% of residents who regularly participate in walking, to enhance Conant Memorial Park, to expand recreation opportunities for people with disabilities by increasing ADA compliance, to offer, facilitate, and provide more activities for seniors, and to serve the 99% of residents who travel out of town to use splash parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to add something new? No clapping, please. If anybody has anything add new, please come up to the mic.
Mara Lamb, Pomeroy Meadow Road. I am advocating for the walking paths. We have so many things in Conant Park that are activities, but nature does not have an equal place in that park. And the walking paths would give access to nature, not doing an activity.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Courtney Bedrisky, 4 Fulmer Road. I grew up in Southampton on third-generation family farmland on Pomeroy Meadow, and I recently moved back as a pandemic transplant to raise my family. Southampton is a really special place, and the reason we moved back here, you can't hear me, sorry.
I can hear you, but to the point. Make your point. Make your point.
Understood. I'm a mom of a 3-year-old daughter. The use of the splash pad would be critical for our family. We walk to Conant Park every single day. Often, we're the only ones there, and I just see it as this underutilized resource. We go to splash pads all over the valley, and to have one in our backyard to meet people in our new community would be really, really critical. When I look at the populations that would be impacted, children, different bodied people, and elderly, I think it's critical that as a community, we support these people. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, those who are ready to speak, please add something new if you have something new to add, otherwise we'll vote.
Hi. Hello. Megan Kwasinski, 90 East Street. I just wanted to remind people that there is actually need in town. You know, I heard people, you can't afford pools. They can't. There are lots of people in town that can't, and this would really help not only lower income people, but it would also help people with different abilities, and I think that we really need to remember that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Patrice Crevier, 44 Crooked Ledge Road. I am for both of them. I just need some clarification. Where exactly will the trails or the walkway start?
I think we heard that the plans haven't been set in stone yet.
Okay, because I just hear Route 10, so that leaves me questions. That's all.
Thank you.
Jessica McConnell, 24 High Street. From what I understand, this is for to start the design process. I'd just like to know, is the design going to include some kind of plan for funding? Because it seems like this would have ongoing maintenance expenses, and we're here at special town meeting trying to get money for things we already have in place.
Somebody want to answer that, please? Go ahead.
Dan LaValle. So yes, during the planning phase, that's one of the things we take into consideration, the maintenance costs, right? So we look at the type of splash pad, the cost of splash pad, the cost of the recurring costs for a walking path. All of those things come into play and are part of our decision-making process in that planning phase.
Did that answer your question? I can't hear you from there, I'm sorry.
I just want to clarify, what we're voting on tonight is for a design, is that correct? This is not the actual money that we're going to need to build this? Is this going to be another vote later on down the road?
Teamwork tonight. We were worried we weren't going to get a quorum.
So the simple answer is this is not a vote just for the design. It is a vote for both the design and the implementation. So there won't be a separate vote for that. I'm sorry. So the simple answer is this is a vote for both the design and the implementation phase. There wouldn't be a separate vote for the implementation phase.
Okay, last two people come forward.
Jennifer Manganelli, 14 Walcott Road. I just would like some clarification, if possible, on what conveyance of a perpetual conservation restriction is. I know what all of those words mean separately, but what exactly does that mean in this
I know
situation?
the answer, but I'm not going to answer it.
Okay.
Perpetual conservation restriction. Ed? It's a conservation restriction that prevents development, prevents building on the property in perpetuity. It goes on forever. It's essentially parkland, and it's usually overseen by an independent entity outside of town, like a land trust. That's slippery slope. We're not covering that tonight. Thank you. Last person. Sorry, I was asleep on the wheel. Your mic may have gone off.
Thank you.
I'm Leah Carrasquillo. I live at 8 Garrett Court. Thank you. I just wanted to emphasize I am for the walking path and the splash pad. As a parent and a nurse practitioner, as a healthcare provider, I think it's so important that we have safe outdoor opportunities for recreation for the mental and physical health of our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. I would ask for more, but we're going to vote. I don't see anybody in opposition. This requires a 2/3 majority. All in favor of the motion under Article 17, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Since this is a 2/3 vote, and to save time tonight, I'm going to have those of you who are voting no say nay. Raise your hands, hold your card, and counters come count them. This way we have a record. No, it says 2/3 majority. It used to say simple majority, but it was changed. Well, the fact is it's 2/3 majority. If it was simple majority, we'd be in a parking lot going home right now. Keep your hands up, let them count. Is that mic clean? That mic clean? Okay. Keep the hands up. You can use the mic to announce.
7 on this side.
7. We're going to have one more person coming. On this side, keep the hands up. We're still counting on this side. You can put the hands down on that side.
Wrinkly.
Huh?
Wrinkly.
The mic, announce the number, please.
There were 11, and then on the far right was 4.
Okay. So we have 22 noes. The motion for Article 17 passes by majority, meeting a 2/3 majority. And I have an announcement to make on the truck. I have an announcement to make on the truck. There were 148 yeses and 13 noes. And help me out for the number of the truck. 14. The motion for Article 14 passes and meets a 2/3 majority. You've been a great audience. I wish you could take you all home with me.
I move to
Motion
close.
to dissolve. Motion made, seconded. Motion made and seconded. All in favor of dissolving, say aye. Safe home. Thank you.